Hey, it's Monday. It's Monday. It's Monday. It is Monday, and it is a beautiful day today, right here in Killeen, Texas. Today, we're back for another amazing episode of Create Your Future Self Live. I am one of your hosts, Laquita Mondley, and my amazing rock star co-host, Mr. Victor Nico the Don of Nico Don Projects, is with us in the house today, all the way from California, because my man is a man on the move.
What's up? Representing out in Untitled Chapter, hanging out all weekend with my peeps. That's the beauty of technology. I can still jump in and we live and full effect. Oh my God, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, Laquita, for putting this show together. And I'm excited about our guests because I don't know how many entrepreneurs we know, creatives that we know, they putting out all kind of content, all kind of words and pictures and images, all this beautiful stuff. And then somebody jack them for it because they ain't copyrighted or they didn't secure their trademark or didn't secure their name on it. So I am super excited about our guest today. You want to introduce her?
Yes, Miss Aleece McKnight, Esquire. She is in the house, and Miss Aleece is going to be dropping some amazing information. I can't wait. She is an attorney to entrepreneurs and content creators. They hire her to protect their businesses and secure their brands. She's passionate about helping creators protect their brands and content so that they can operate in their genius, unbothered by copycats. I like that's the drop the mic line right there.
Right there.
Copycats. I love it. She's impassioned by the desire to fight for the legal protection of creators and entrepreneurs. Aleece took a leap of faith and launched the law office of Aleece McKnight. In her practice, she focuses on trademark registration, copyright registration, business formation, and contracts for creative entrepreneurs. I mean, this sis is rocking it out. Like you said, Vic, the things that you don't really think about that can cost you a whole lot of money. That's what she said. Yeah, she's serving and protecting if we let her. So listen, everybody, all of you guys that are joining across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, those of you who are joining us from Roku and Apple TV, thank you guys so much. We love and appreciate it. Go ahead and put a shout out to Laquita's Toolbox and get some more folks to tune in on those channels on Apple and Roku. Those of you who are joining us by social media, get in the content section. We want to know that you're here. And most importantly, like, share, and subscribe. This is a conversation. If you have friends that are in business, you don't want them to miss this. You want them to have this live opportunity, because how often can you say you get this type of live opportunity? So, Miss Aleece, how you doing, ma'am? Appreciate it.
I am great. I am doing wonderful. I hope y'all are sharing. If your friend can't be here, grab a notebook, write it down for him. Take some notes. No friend left behind.
That's it. If they're your real friend,
if they listen,
they're your real friend, you don't want to miss this information, because there's no person in business that does not need the expertise of an attorney. Vic and I are always talking about the necessity of building your power teams, and it's core people that have to be on it. Your bookkeeper and accountant, your attorney for sure, and your marketing individual. You got to have those people right there on the team for sure. And we got.
I want to jump right in, because I already know people are chomping at the bit wanting to know. So the first question is definitely going to come out. I would believe that, because I've had these conversations, right? What is the difference between a trademark and a copyright?
So I'm trying to remember the analogy I used to make it simple, but a copyright protects like your creativity that you put in some type of physical form. So content, we're thinking content, straight content. So that could be pictures. If you're an artist, it can be your drawings. It can be a course, an ebook, music, songwriting, lyrics, all of these different things that you create, the content that you create and put it in some tangible form. Now, I do want to tell you all just one little thing. You can't copyright ideas. So if you just have this idea in your head, maybe you tell your friend and he was like, oh, I want to copyright this, and that's all you have is an idea, can't copyright it. And a trademark is your brand. That is how people in the industry and people in the market identify your business, your product, your service. So best examples, some things that we always know, the McDonald's arches, that is a logo. That's their trademark that they've protected. Nike, just do it. That's a slogan. That is their trademark, and you can protect slogans. Burger King, those words is a trademark. And so that's their brand. So remember, trademark protects the brand name of the product or service. And copyright protects the creative way in which you create content and its intangible form, a way that somebody can access it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
No, excellent. Thank you for breaking that down. That's super important. And so I guess the follow-up to that is when should you do it? People are pumping out stuff left and right. So at what point is it logical for you to even pursue either or?
It's definitely when it comes to copyright, I am always an advocate for protecting or registering your copyright, depending on what it is. Let me backtrack a little bit. Let me break down copyright ownership. So copyright, and it's similar to trademarks, but copyright has common law copyright. So the moment you create something and you put it in tangible form, you essentially have the copyright in it. You're the copyright owner. That's the way copyright law works. So if I was to go and create an ebook right now, the moment I create that ebook, put it online or whatever, I own a copyright in that. But in order for you to truly enforce your copyrights in that, to sue people for infringement, you need to register that work. And for some people, the content that they create may not be that important. They may not care if somebody takes it or use it. So you always have to think about how valuable is the content to you. Is it really important to you? Is it content that you're truly monetizing? Because if it is, then you want to register the copyright for that. Because nowadays, like you mentioned, so many people are jumping into entrepreneurship with this pandemic going on. So many people are trying to find different ways to make money, and they are pulling content from other people. They are paying to take your course and taking it to use on their own. People do crazy things like that. I've had conversations with people where that has happened. So if it's something that is truly valuable to you and you definitely are monetizing it, you want to protect it at that point. And there's a lot of rules and different types of applications that can make the process easier for you and more financially feasible. But if you are unsure on whether or not it's the time to do that, I would say, if nothing else, invest in a call with an attorney to ascertain when is the right time for that. But I'm always an advocate for doing it from the beginning, but it really depends on the content that we're speaking of. As far as trademark goes, trademark also has common law rights, but trademark is a little different because trademark rights they're limited to your geographical area. So if I'm here in Tennessee and I have a brand, if I have let's say a course. If I have a course that has its own brand, I don't want to use that one. Let me say clothing. Let me say apparel line. And I have a brand and I'm here in Tennessee. I don't register my trademark. That's not going to stop anybody from say California or New York from using that brand, because my trademark rights are only limited to a certain geographical area, which would be Tennessee, or maybe something really close where my brand actually reaches. But I won't be able to enforce those rights across the United States. If I want to protect my brand across the United States and prevent anybody from using my name, slogan, logo, whatever trademark it is, I have to register that with the USPTO, with the trademark office. And you want to do that when you have a brand that you love. And you will be doggone if somebody else take it and start using it and monetizing it. That's when you know, when you feel it in your spirit that don't play with it. That's when you know you need to register that trademark. Also, even because I like to tell people all the time, we have small businesses, but there's nothing small about our business. We have to start thinking that we have these big empires, because if we don't, we're going to stay in this little business mindset and we're going to always think, oh, I have time. Oh, nobody's watching me, or I can get to that later. And while we're thinking that, other people are watching us. They're watching what we're doing. They're watching what we're putting out. And while we're sitting on it, they're already acting on it. And they're taking the brands that we are, or something similar. They're taking those things and filing their own trademarks. They're creating their own brands. And by the time we get to the process of trying to file an application, unfortunately, you have to get the sad news that you're going to have to rebrand. You're going to have to start over. And so it's always best to do that from the beginning, even when you are thinking of a brand, because you don't want to think of a brand, think it's something that nobody else has, or think it's something that you can use, and you build this whole brand around it. You start promoting it, putting it out there, and then only to either get a cease and desist letter or start the trademark process and realize that you can't use it. That's a lot of money, time, energy, and resources to have to scratch and start all the way over. So my tip especially with trademarks, my tip is always, the moment you come up with an idea, a brand name, have a trademark search done first. Make sure it's actually something you can protect. And if it is, and if it's one that you just don't want anybody else to use, then you may need to do what you have to do to register your trademark. I like to tell people that the longer you wait, the more likely the likelihood that somebody's going to take what you have increases, because people are really watching and they're moving behind the scenes. So you don't want to wait until you blow up. I've had people come to me and then never follow through with services. And one of the things I've had someone say was, well, we're going to wait until we start getting more traffic. We're going to wait until we start monetizing, and then we're going to come back. And I was like, okay. Like I can bring you the well, but I can't make you drink the water. So
Wow.
That's a lot of good information right there.
Yeah, it is. Because I feel what you're saying. Like if you wait too long, like how many times have people told you they were going to wait, got to the point where they were like, okay, yeah, now I'll go through with this cost, and you have to tell them, I'm so sorry. Like, you got to start over. Like, has that ever happened to you?
Yes, it has happened a few times. I've worked with clients to rebrand before we filed the application. Sometimes I will catch it before I do the complete trademark search. Sometimes I don't catch it until after I do the comprehensive search, because you can find different results based on the type of search that you do. And I typically, once I'm hired, then I do the comprehensive trademark search and all of the little tricks of the trade to that. But I have definitely worked with some clients where we've had to start over, or revamp what they've worked on. And sometimes I've seen it where they were already using their brand. And then I've also seen it where they've had this idea and been sitting and building on this idea for some time. But by the time they made the decision to actually move forward with the trademark process, somebody else already beat them to it.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. That has to hurt.
It hurt me, and it's not even my brand, but
that's a little gut punch right there.
Yes.
Wow. So we had a question come in here. You kind of
Okay.
touched on it a little bit, but more specifically, Facebook user says, can you speak on protecting podcast and radio show concepts?
Let me pause here and say this before I dive into this. This is my disclaimer. Nothing that I say on this here live video or replay, if you're watching it, is legal advice. Do not take what I say as law. You need to speak with an attorney about your very specific questions and situation, because I'm only going to give you general answers. I'm not going to give you anything specific that you can actually take and act upon. So I just got to put that out.
This is just for educational purposes.
Yeah. I got to do my disclaimer because I got to keep my license.
For sure.
That part.
So regarding the question, repeat it one more time for me.
Can you speak on protecting podcasts and radio show concepts?
So as far as the concepts, you might want to just get like an NDA. If you are sharing your ideas with someone, or maybe trying to get someone to help you bring your ideas to life, or how to expand or further ideas, and you don't want them to take it or use it or share with anybody else, then you would definitely want to get a non-disclosure agreement in place to protect, the concepts for that podcast, because otherwise you're just giving them your bright idea and they're going to take it and run with it, and you wouldn't be able to stop them. So, because it's an idea.
if they are in concept mode, a non-disclosure agreement would probably be a good way to go, especially if there's other parties involved with that. But when they're actually ready to launch this thing, or they finalize their concept process and they know what they're going to do now, that would be probably a good time to engage you and for them to come to you to get help for getting the trademark.
If the name of their podcast is going to be their brand, and if that's something that they want to protect, or if they have questions about, I want to protect my podcast, what are all the things I need to have in place to protect it, then they definitely want to consult with an attorney, because having a podcast, you have to have a lot of things in place, and especially a lot of different types of contracts and agreements in place. And if you don't, then you're leaving your podcast unprotected. And a lot of people don't know that, or, think about that. But it's just important for you to know, if you're really trying to protect your intellectual property as a whole, not just the brand. You have to remember that each episode podcast, everything that happens in creating and producing these episodes, all of that is creativity. All of that is copyrights. And if you don't have the proper things in place, you probably think you own all of your episodes by yourself, but you don't. So if you start monetizing that podcast, that check you may have to split.
Oh, a good check. Good check right there.
16 minutes, about 15 minutes to 16 minutes. That's when you go back to this recording, Laquita, and check this thing out.
Listen, I'm gonna ask sis to say that one more time, because we had like a whole bunch of people just flood in that moment. So the Lord said that needs to be repeated.
He said, repeat that. Okay.
Repeat that, man.
Okay, so if you have a podcast, because I know podcast is hot right now.
Yes,
if you have a podcast, and let me say this, it's not too late. If you've already started your podcast, it's not too late. You can fix it now. But if you have a podcast, you have to have certain things in place to protect your podcast. And it's not just the brand, it's not the name of your podcast, it's not just the trademark. The content of your episodes, the production, the putting on of your podcast, all of that is creativity. All of that is content. All of that is copyrights. You don't own those things if you didn't create them by yourself. And if you don't have certain things in place, certain contracts and agreements in place, you're in a situation where you don't 100% own the content in your show. And if you start monetizing your podcast, you could potentially be in a situation where that check you just got, you're going to have to split it.
Yep.
I don't know how many ways, because I don't know how many people you had involved, but you're going to have to split it.
Okay. There you go.
Because if it's anybody like me, and I provided some content or created something for your podcast, and I start seeing you making some money, I'm gonna be smart enough to say, sis,
yeah,
hey girl,
you always some of them coins.
Listen,
It's my pro forma, please pay that.
So let me ask you that as a follow-up. Can that person or podcast creator engage with an attorney to come up with kind of a standard agreement, and each time they have a guest, present that to the guest before they get them on, of course, and instead of having to recreate this agreement each individual time? Is that something that is considered acceptable in the industry?
Yeah, if you have a contract drafted, you can pretty much use that contract for, repeatedly. Just as long as you pay attention if certain terms of that contract needs to be changed based on who you're entering into that agreement with. And if you're unsure about the language or what any changes may mean to the contract, then you definitely want to consult with an attorney. But typically, if you get a well-drafted contract, you should be able to use that. Again, I tell people all the time, be careful with the language in these contracts, because one word, as we all know, can change the entire meaning of a sentence.
Yes.
And so we have to be very careful with those. So in short, to answer your question, yes.
Yes.
And so we have to be very careful.
Got it. All right, we're cool.
Wow. Listen, it is only 6:19. And this is probably gonna say somebody 19 grand. I'm not lying. I ain't even making it. 6:20. I'm telling you that right there, because podcasts are the big thing. I'm a podcaster, right? And I'm a big advocate of especially women of color getting into that podcasting space, because it is such a wide open market that has not been tapped into enough by us. And wouldn't
I
even
can imagine that takes a lot of consistency. Ooh,
it does.
bless you.
It does test my discipline.
I've actually thought about it myself, but I have to make sure that I'm going to be consistent in producing. Because I would hate to start something and then I ghost everybody. They're gonna be like, "What happened?" And I'm sorry. So I've actually thought about it several times, but I just have to make sure that I'm going to be consistent with it, or, get in the practice of, batching. Cause I heard you all like batch episodes too, especially if you have shorter episodes. So maybe one day, I don't know if I want it to be about law stuff. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll figure out how to intertwine like everyday life, my life, and legal stuff, to kind of make it entertaining. Cause I don't want to just be talking about law stuff. At some point, you're going to be like, okay, girl.
Right. Well, that's actually a good segue, because that's one of the questions I have. Tell us a little bit about the journey. Like, how did you get here? How did you start your own firm? Give us a little bit of background. And, there's a young lady or male out there watching that's probably at the step that you were in the beginning, and, they're waiting to hear, like, how did she get to this point? Because obviously you're only like 21 and you got your own firm and this thing, so give us some background.
So starting my firm was never a plan in my life. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. Well, let me say I never thought about being an entrepreneur, because as we all know, we grew up in the times where all we saw was our parents and our elders going to work. That's all we saw. We wasn't really surrounded by entrepreneurs. So it really wasn't something that I saw. And so growing up and even starting my legal career, I was just going to do what I ideally saw the career to look like, which was go get a job at a firm, work at the firm, and that was it. When I was in law school, I took an interest in like business and entertainment law. So intellectual property and all of those things started to like really like I want to take all the classes because it was really an interest for me. Yeah. But when I graduated from law school, that's not the route that I took. I went to school in Texas. I moved back to Tennessee, and that's when I started clerking for a judge while I waited on my bar results. And that was fun. I actually loved that job. But while doing that, I started to freelance working with individuals in the entertainment industry with their contracts and things like that, and trademarks. But then that idea of what being a lawyer looked like creeped back up, and I went the work for a law firm route. And so for the entire beginning of my career, I was doing criminal law, family law. I mean, I've done bankruptcy, civil litigation, personal injury. I've done all of these different areas of law. I've worked for these firms, and I never got to a place where I truly was like, I felt happy. I felt fulfilled. And most times I've worked at these places to a certain extent, and then I started to get like, I don't know, almost like, burnt out and borderline discouraged. Like maybe I ain't really want to be a lawyer. Maybe this not for me, because I have yet to find that place of happiness. So in 2019, I had enough, and I quit my job with no plan. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew that I couldn't go back there. And I took a few months to really try to figure it out. And I was even applying for jobs, in different states or whatever, to just, maybe I should just go find another firm, still holding on to that. But something was pushing me to really do what I wanted to do, which was intellectual property, small business law, things like that. But I was so afraid of having my own firm. And I've been asked this several times before, but it was something that I was afraid to do. So I don't know if you all have ever watched the sermon series, but Michael Todd, he did a sermon series called Crazy Faith back in 2019. And I started watching it, and it started to speak to me, and it started to speak to the faith that I needed to really do what I felt that God was pushing me to do. And I'm still in the season of my life where I'm learning how to hear God's voice and understand when it's him speaking to me. So I started to go through that. And I was like, I don't know, Lord. I don't know what I'm doing. I know how to practice law, but I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to run a law firm. I don't know anything about marketing. I was like stuck in this place of fear. And then I met one of my colleagues who kind of had this kind of mentored me into, listen, here's how you can start your own law firm. I'm going to give you some information, some tips. I'm going to give you something to get you started. She started speaking into, the faith that I needed. And I ultimately just made the decision to launch. And I did it scared. Still didn't know what I was doing, but it has definitely been the best decision I could have made for myself, because while being an entrepreneur is hard, it's a lot of work. It's the most enjoyable way that I've practiced law what year is this? I think it's 9 years, in the 9 years that I've been an attorney. So wow. I'm just grateful. Awesome. And I take the opportunity to thank you. And I take the opportunity to reach back because the area of law is still not a place that is really supportive of Black attorneys, Black female attorneys. There's still not a lot of us who still don't have the representation and sometimes the respect that we need in this space. And so I do take the opportunity to be able to reach back to those coming behind me, whether they need an internship, whether they need some type of experience, because we don't really get those, whether they just need some guidance, some mentor, like, hey, I'm trying to go to law school. What do I need? What does that look like? So I definitely take the opportunity to do that. And I'm glad that I have the freedom to do that, because I can create my own life and my own day to be able to make space for that. So
wow. You out there creating your future self. All right.
Yes.
That's what she's doing. Oh my. I love it when you said I'm doing it scared. So many entrepreneurs or people who are contemplating becoming entrepreneurs, they are stuck not wanting to take that step. I don't think I've met an entrepreneur that did not start scared. A smart entrepreneur, let me say that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met a smart entrepreneur that did not start scared, and that had nothing to do with capital or lack of capital or team or whatever. It takes a special kind of energy and a special kind of grace to walk out and begin your entrepreneurship journey. Wow.
And to do it right, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs, but there's not a lot of us doing it right. And that's the thing. If you do entrepreneurship right, it's hard. Forget the hype. It's not easy. It's hard. And most days you're going to wake up because you're going to feel like, I don't know what I'm doing today, or I'm burnt out. I'm tired. So if anybody tells you entrepreneurship is easy, they're probably not doing it right. Don't trust it.
No, definitely not.
And that's why, yes, and that's why I just I'm in this space, because I'm trying my best to be accessible, to be visible, because oftentimes we don't do what we don't know. And oftentimes we don't know where to go to get what we need. And we don't see the people that we can relate to. When people think of lawyers, they think, uptight, stuffy people in suits. I only call them when I'm in trouble. And I want to change that mind shift so that we as small business owners can be a little bit more proactive when it comes to protecting ourselves and our business and our intellectual property. Because one of the things that I think Victor mentioned earlier, I don't know if we were on or off, but for me personally, I am tired of especially seeing Black creativity being appropriated. Sick of it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing Black small businesses not thriving and succeeding because we don't have the proper things in place to protect our stuff. And that's where I step in, because I want to put an end to that. There's a history of that. If we go all the way back to slavery,
centuries.
Come on now.
There's a history of that, and at some point we got to put a stop to it. And the time is now. We gonna get it together.
I love it. I love your passion for it, and I love that you are genuinely out here confronting your fear. There is, forget just entrepreneurship. Just in life, if you're gonna succeed, even I talk about this with young guys. You better shoot your shot with that girl or whatever it is. Fear is in there, but you're not gonna meet the best person in your life unless you do that, or your career, your health. You're gonna be afraid to do those 100 push-ups or to start going back to the gym. You have to have fear in your life in order to have any type of positive results. So I really love that you have that, and that you lean on your faith That's super important because you can't operate based on what you see. You have to be able to operate on where your vision is taking you,
Come
because
on now.
the circumstances around you may not be ideal. So if you're just looking at that, then it's going to frustrate you. And like, oh, you know what? I can't do it. But your faith is what takes you to your vision and your ability to get to that purpose. So
and that imposter syndrome will slip in there too.
Come on now.
If you don't focus on the faith and the belief that you have and what's to come, that imposter syndrome will run you raggedy. And then you will get to the point where you are so discouraged because you see everybody else winning and you wondering, when is my season? It's not now, because somebody else's journey is not yours. You don't know what they. Let me tell y'all this. Everybody makes themselves look good on social media. So don't believe the hype.
Say that.
Listen, because some people are struggling. Some people may claim, oh, I made 6 figures in my business, but do you know how much money they actually put in their pocket?
They spent 7.
Do you like do you really know?
Let's talk about it.
You worried about like, oh, they got all of these followers, but guess what? All of them followers ain't converting into dollars. Let's be real. And I've had some people who have a lot of followers say that, and that's what kind of helped me. Like when I first started, because 2 of my mentors, they've been practicing for some time, and they had, the following number, and it just took a little bit of honesty to say, you know what, follower count don't equal dollar signs, because a lot of people have a lot of these followers, but they're not converting, they're not paying clients, or they're not converting to clients. They're just following them because maybe they saw a post or something that they liked, or, whatever the case may be. So if anybody's watching this and you've ever felt like you weren't doing enough because maybe somebody else in your industry had all of these followers and you don't, just always remember that you will have clients, you will have customers that will never follow your page, that will never like your posts, that will never even interact with you on social media. So do not let that discourage you, because people will slide in your inbox and book your calendar without even hitting a follow button.
Yeah. Brandon Powell talks about that a lot, one of our previous guests, and he's like, it's all about, so most people approach social media for the likes and the follows, but you got to flip it around. You should be approaching it for the inquiries and the acquisitions. If they are not asking about your business and they're not spending money to get your service or product, then it's just a waste of time, And that's not to say that if you haven't yet experienced that you should stop posting and doing the things to draw attention to your business. But I think I'm gonna need to hit you up, Aleece, for this. I need to get this one. I think it's a copyright for this one. I need everybody who looking ain't liking, and everybody who's liking ain't looking. So don't get caught up in that. For real. I love what you said.
That's true. I've had some people refer individuals to me because I always like to know where people coming from. Where did you find me? What did you see that made you book the call? What inspired you to book? So I'm always asking these questions.
Right.
And one time I remember, this was sometime last year, this young lady, she was like, oh, my cousin shared your page with me. She sent me your information. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. What's your cousin's name? And she told me, and it did not ring a bell. I was like, okay. I was like, oh, okay, great, wonderful. But I wrote it down. So once we got off the call, I got on Instagram and I started searching. And this was an individual that does not follow me. I've never interacted with her before. And I was like, she saw me somewhere. It was great. She shared me. And so that kind of goes into, you never know who's watching, who sees your comments, your content, that may never interact with you, but they're going to keep you in the top of their mind. And they either may become your client or customer, or they'll share you with somebody else.
Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I really love what you're saying right there, because I've had that conversation with a couple of clients recently, like being down and out about their social media and letting that be their main focus. It's like, come on, social media is good. It's great at what it does, but it's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
And like my husband and I, we found that relationship building is the key for us. When we're building those relationships, whether it's through social media or our personal interaction, the core of our business and any deals that we have closed have really come because of our personal interaction and through referrals.
Yeah.
Social media get you out there. You need the social proof. But not
Yeah,
saying
you need the social proof. Get your
Need the
followers
social
up.
proof.
That's okay. Get your followers up. Post, do all of that, but don't let your follower count discourage you. That's the whole point.
Yes,
That's the whole point.
exactly. Yeah, like you said, it's word of mouth. You might do some other
Mhm.
type of marketing. This is just one form of getting your word out there about your business. So that's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
One of the other questions is, well, one of the questions that I think you sent over was, what can entrepreneurs do to make sure that their contracts are solid, and when they don't have the budget to hire an attorney?
Yes.
So many times that's where we're going to have, entrepreneurs like, well, I can't afford to do that, so I'm gonna just go ahead and hang on in there. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, this tough. It's not really tough. Let me stop playing. If you do not have if you are just starting out, and again, I'm an entrepreneur, so there's no journey that I cannot relate to. So if you are starting out as an entrepreneur and you may not have the budget to work with an attorney to get these things in place, one thing I want you to avoid, if at all possible, is going to these like online websites and just downloading and pulling these contracts and then just trying to plug in your information and run with it. The reason I say don't do that is because you don't know. First of all, you may not understand the type of contract you really need. You don't know if the contract is written in your best interest or like the party signing. So you don't know which party whose interest the contract was written in. You don't know what state it was written in to even know if it's something that will be held up in your state under your laws. And then you also may not understand like the language. And half of those contracts also do not include everything that your contract should have. If you're not in a position to hire an attorney to draft a contract for you, at least set aside a budget to have them review it. And that could be easy because even if you pull one from online and kind of tweak it, you can take that contract and have an attorney review it, and then they do whatever. That may be a little bit more feasible. I'm not sure about every attorney if their prices are the same, whether they're drafting or reviewing, but that could be a possibility as well. There's also some attorneys that if you're going to pull a contract offline, get it from like an attorney draft, like a real attorney. Like I have colleagues where they have their law firm, you get your one-on-one services, but they also have like sites where they have like contract templates. That'll probably be your next best bet. It's probably still going to cost you a couple $100, but it's something that is going to be that's going to be solid for you. So that will kind of be my recommendations. It's really not anything that you can do to like 100% protect it if you don't want to invest in it, because you're going to have to make an investment. That goes back to that mindset. Like, I don't want to spend money on the legal stuff, but I want to spend money on my logo, my website.
There you go. I was hoping
my social media graphics. Y'all know I'm a step on some toes. Just say ouch and keep going. But we will spend money on all of these other things and thousands of dollars on all these other things. But when it comes to legally protecting our business and our intellectual property and everything else, we just kind of shy away from it because we don't see legal as valuable, as a valuable investment for our businesses. So I really don't have any skip the legal advice for contracts.
Absolutely.
So you have a product that can be proven quite handy if someone that product. Gonna tell us about that product.
So I have two. One is because I mentioned you may not know what type of contract you need. So I have it's probably our list, maybe about 15, it could be more. But there's a list of 15 contracts that you may need for your business. It tells you what the contract is and kind of the purpose that it serves. So you can have an idea. So if you are a service-based business, I have on there like a client services agreement. And I say you will need this agreement if XYZ. So that'll kind of give you an idea to kind of at least start understanding the type of contracts that you will need. Now, the list is not all inclusive, is not an exhaustive list. It's just, very limited, but it starts, churning your brain a little bit. And I also have a product called the Contract Shake Up. And it is a product that I created to kind of help you in the DIY process of drafting your contracts. So if you do go online and pull a contract, from one of these websites, you can use this guide to go through it and shake it up a little bit. Make sure you have what you need to have in there, some important clauses, understanding what those clauses are, and telling you what to put in there. I also give you some sample clauses that you can copy and paste. You can steal them from me to put in there. But it's really just to kind of help you with that DIY process until you are truly ready and able to invest in working one-on-one with an attorney to make sure that you have something that is truly tailored for your business.
That's awesome. You have that product. We even have one of our guests, which is my husband. He popped in the comment that this often causes much discouragement, and it can be like you as a startup entrepreneur, especially if you're bootstrapping and got a shoestring budget, and you know that you need these things. And I'm balancing: do I get the legal protection? Do I get this accountant to set up my books? The bookkeeper. I gotta let the people know I'm out here, so I gotta use the marketing. Like, what do I skip? What do I skim? What do I do? But this product that you offer, this DIY service, that's extremely invaluable. And I really like what you said about not getting those contracts off of a template offline. We had some attorneys on once before that spoke. Let's like, hey, don't do that, because it's stuff in there that you don't know is in there.
Yep. And
I don't know what prize gonna be in that Cracker Jack box, but
listen, I've tried to work with some individuals who had contracts that I could tell that they pulled offline, and I couldn't work with them because I wouldn't sign it, and I don't revise contracts for free, so I'm not going to revise it to a way that works for me to be able to sign it. But I've seen that, so I know that it's happening. But I do offer solutions for them, to kind of help them get their contracts in place, and they're just kind of amazed at wow, I had no idea. So it's definitely important to focus on protecting your business. You don't need a bookkeeper and accountant if you're not making enough money to even afford to hire an attorney, to even a consultation or whatever. That you don't need to focus on that, because you can probably get an Excel sheet and handle your bookkeeping right now.
Buying them Facebook ads and all the boosting and all that stuff. You ain't got your business legally right yet.
You out here putting out courses and all that stuff. You ain't got nothing protected. People just taking your stuff.
Get right. Hey, trust me. I had to learn that one too. So So two questions I have. One that I know is going to touch these entrepreneurs: website content. Disclaimers on your website. Anything special that you're willing to give here? And again, we don't want you to give your kit and caboodle, but anything you can share about website information.
One thing, I'll just speak on the disclaimers. This is something I shared in a workshop I did a couple of weeks ago, so I can share that one because it was free. But if you are providing if you're providing information on your website that is meant to provide a transformative result, you need to have a disclaimer on your website. So some industry examples: attorneys, financial advisors, financial planners and strategists. If you're selling products, skincare products, or if you weight loss products, whatever it is, if you are telling people by utilizing this service or utilizing this product, you're going to get XYZ results or potentially get XYZ results, you need to have a disclaimer on your website. You don't want to wind up in a situation where you are delivering a message that someone is going to get a certain result and then they don't.
Okay, that's great. And to segue back, you mentioned about the event that you did. I think it was Business and Brand Ownership Beyond the Basics.
Yes.
Are you doing another one of those? Is that available for people to download? What's the deal with that?
So it's not available for download because it was a 2-day. Well, it wasn't 2 days. You didn't have to be there 2 days. I did the same thing on 2 different days, but there were definitely live events, and I plan to do it again, but it won't be the same content. I'll probably break it down into different topics and do some workshops on that. I've also been planning some trainings, but let me tell y'all, I'm gonna be completely honest. I am an overthinker to the core. So when I was planning this workshop, I ran myself raggedy. My assistant created the PowerPoint. I changed the PowerPoint 13 times. Listen, I had my assistant do like a lot of the back office, stuff. But then I was like, well, let me add this. Let me do this. Like I was just overthinking the entire process. So I really ran myself raggedy. So by the time I completed the 2 days, I was tired. I was like, I don't want to do this again. Like I can't do this. It was too much. But and I've never been over. Let me think, because I've done some workshops before, and I don't think I put that much pressure on myself before. So I don't know what it was this time around, but it was a lot. And I think what I did was just, transparency, because this may help somebody out there planning courses or whatever. I think I was just trying to give too much because I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm really like into educating and being accessible and providing this information. So I think what it was, I was trying to give too much, and I should have scaled back and, just kind of, kept it simple a little bit.
Surface.
Yeah. But I definitely plan to do it again. And honestly, I think I probably want to do like just some Instagram like videos, so that way it's available online. And you don't have to necessarily meet my schedule to hop on there. If I do some more like Zoom or whatever webinars, they may be more like trainings to like give you like some more actionable trainings and steps like that. And they may be a little bit more intimate settings as well. But I'm still trying to figure out what would be best, because I know that people really enjoy them. They like them, and they just like to see me in my element, just being who I am. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way to do that,
Now, you do have a course on intellectual property. Talk to us about that course and how can people access it?
Oh, yeah. So I have it. It's a mini course. Don't get hyped. It's not a full blown, little whole shebang. But, probably take about, less than an hour of your time. But it is basically a mini course, because I do get a lot of questions, what is a trademark? What is a copyright? What can I trademark? What can I copyright? And, how to protect these things, and what are some things you should avoid so that you don't get hit with an infringement suit or a cease and desist letter. So that mini course pretty much covers that. And it just provides you some like actual things that you can trademark. So one example I'll share, if you are like a service provider, what is something I can trademark as a service provider? Your signature service, your coaching program, so it gives those type of examples to make it real life, because we hear trademark, name, slogan, logo. Okay, but like, how does that relate to my business? Like, what is it in my business that I can actually get a trademark for? So that course kind of gives you that primer of those, so you can have a better understanding, especially when you get ready to work with an attorney. It's good to kind of have the general and basic ideas of what intellectual property is, how you protect it, how do you secure it. And even before you work with an attorney, you need to know how I can protect my stuff, and how can I avoid getting hit with a lawsuit or a cease and desist letter as well.
So we got to know how to get that course, so we can drop the link in there.
I gotta remember. It's on AleeceMcKnight.podia.com. Everything on there, all of my digital little free guides, digital products, everything is on there for you to download.
So Aleece.podia?
AleeceMcKnight.podia.com.
Gotcha. Okay. No law.
I don't know how to type. Yeah, I don't know how to type in the thing, so I can't drop it.
It's all good. Gotcha.
So
okay.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Good stuff. No, this is excellent. I appreciate you sharing all this. I just want to make sure we got a direct link to get to you, which obviously we got the website listed there. But if it's any products, we want to make sure we drop that in there.
I'm gonna drop it on Facebook. I just opened up the live. Hold on.
Perfect. There you go.
That's great. I have been putting the website in, www.AleeceMcKnightLaw.com. So that is a great way to reach out to Aleece. Also, she is also on Instagram, and I'm going to go ahead now and drop her Instagram in the comment section as well, because we don't want to miss it.
Yeah,
Good.
follow me.
Perfect.
Talk to me. I like talking. I like laughing. Now, and earlier we talked about consistency, right? I said I'm not consistent enough to do podcasts. Listen, I'm not consistent enough to do Instagrams. I have my spurts where I'm doing great, but there are some moments I'm like, I don't have it. And that goes back to me overthinking because I have content for days. I can sit out here and spit out all kind of content. But it's just like actually getting it together, making it make sense. That's why I'm about to hire somebody to help me with that whole strategy behind it. But I'm there though.
So, I mean, since anytime Laquita tell me she dropping somebody IG in there, I instantly go and follow. So make sure you follow me back. But so I'm looking at a recent one that you put out there. I assume it's okay to repeat this. It's on social media. It's 5 days ago. So legal protections your business should have in place. You put a separate business entity that's right for your business, operating agreement / bylaws, lawyer drafted contracts, not downloaded, registered federal trademarks, registered federal copyrights, business license as required, business insurance with risk management purposes. So those are just a few bullets. Y'all connect with her on IG for sure.
Yes.
It's like she's dropping a lot of content as I scroll through. Some good information in here. So thank you.
I dropped her IG in the comments, and while Vic was looking through the post, I was checking out your link tree. I really like your link tree. Go out to her website. If you're an Instagram person, get out on the Instagram. I've got her Instagram in the comments section. Go ahead and follow her. Go to the bio, click the link tree, and you will get a ton of resources, a ton of valuable information right there.
There you go.
That hour always goes so fast when we
every time
amazing guests giving us some great value, but we can't let you leave until we ask the $1 million question.
Okay. I hope I got a $1 million answer.
You got a $1 million answer.
It's in you.
I know you do.
Well, let me receive it.
The name of the show is Create Your Future Self. So that's the question that we ask our guests. Who is or what is the future of Aleece McKnight Law? Whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, what do you see in the future?
I see myself truly being a CEO. And that means I am working maybe less than 10 hours a week in my business. And I have a full team and staff to handle the everyday operations, people that I trust. Like I'll come in to do like some legal strategy, like the legal work, but I truly desire to be in full CEO mode. My firm is virtual. So a part of that looks like me just enjoying life. So if I want to work from a beach this week and come back and work at my mama's house the next week, that's what I want to be able to do. I want my law firm to be the go-to law firm for creative entrepreneurs who are destined to make an impact in this world. That's just what I'm here for. That's where I see the law office of Aleece McKnight and how I see my life. Just me being truly happy, operating in my element and stepping into those CEO roles to have the space and the energy to determine how I can make greater impact and provide more valuable resources and opportunities for creative entrepreneurs.
Wow. That's what's up. That's what's up.
You're definitely well on your way. There's no doubt about that. So continued success, continue to push.
Thank
you already come from a value proposition, and everything you said here is all about helping others, helping to grow entrepreneurs, creatives, business owners, period. And the fact that you have a particular interest in seeing our people, Black women, succeeding in law is amazing. I literally just told my sister Cuz, whose house I'm at right now, I was like, man, I'm so excited. And obviously I'm married, I love my wife, but I just love seeing when Black women, and I'm gonna just be honest with you, especially when they have a darker shade, than a light-skinned woman and whatnot. I love to see them bossing, and you out here bossing. Yeah. So thank you so much for being a strong representation, if nothing else. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you want to share? Upcoming events, anywhere people can follow you other than what we got? Anything else you want to share?
The only thing I want to share, let me see. This might not happen in real life, but somebody asked me this question before, so I'm just gonna say it. 15 years from now, my sister Tika something gonna play me in my own autobiography.
Hey.
What is it? Biopic? Is that what you call it?
Yeah. I don't know. 15 years from now, she might not. You might want to get her niece or daughter.
She still gonna look good. We still gonna look young, and we gonna be flourishing. But
what you say? This melanin lasts forever.
It's gonna last forever.
Right.
One of my friends spoke into my life. She said, "I can see you writing a book," and I was like, "Girl, I'm not that transparent about my life. I'm so private." Child, please. But hey, we don't know what the Lord gonna do. He done got me into having my own law firm. So let me stop telling the Lord what he gonna do and what he ain't.
Right? This time next year we'll be looking at your first book.
Look, I'm trying to dodge it. Like,
well, I'm gonna keep my my Hulu and Netflix up because I know you'll be on one of those where I can watch the biopic. Yeah. And it's gonna Laquita, it's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be like a little 2-minute segment where they showing her on our little live, right? You know?
Just remember us. That's how we remember Dick and Laquita.
We gonna pan through this little talk. We gonna highlight, some of the little sessions on here. It's gonna be a whole journey.
That's what's up.
I'm not gonna forget nobody who helped me step on my way up. I ain't forgetting nobody.
Oh, this is so good. This is excellent. Thank you again for being a strong representation.
Thank you,
giving us valuable information that people are always coming back into the feed, throughout the week until our next guest, of course. And so I'm sure it'll be like Saturday, somebody just messing around, jumps in. It's like, oh my God. And they got this good information. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
And we're definitely sharing your website for sure.
Thank you all. I had so much fun. I definitely love just having open conversations. So thank you all for being so personable and welcoming.
No doubt.
It was our pleasure. You brought some amazing value to us and our audience. So we appreciate it. Now you got that link, so don't hesitate. If you got some more you want to share, click that link again. We can always do a part 2.
We could. Let me think
go.
what else we can talk on. Yeah, We're gonna focus on intellectual property. We might go a little deep.
That's right.
For sure.
Well, folks out there, again, we always are thankful and appreciative of you tuning in. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on Mondays, every single Monday. Create Your Future Self Live. If you have a story or something interesting that we need to share with this community of entrepreneurs and real estate investors and all these different business-minded folks coming in, hit us up on createyourfutureselflive@gmail.com. We'll take a listen to what you got going on and we'll share it out there to the world. So again, we want to thank our guest, Aleece McKnight, Esquire, please, and thank you. Yeah.
Put a handle on it.
That's what's up. Absolutely. And I do want to real quickly mention for those folks out here in the Dallas Metroplex tomorrow, Tuesday, June 29th, y'all can catch me over at the Workonomy office space over at Office Depot for Own Your Business Mastery for our monthly mastermind. We'll be talking about how to manifest the life that you want, using your time and maximizing your time. And so come on over, join us for some drinks and hanging out a little bit. I'll drop the link. Laquita, I'm going to give you the link as well if you don't mind dropping it through there. And we will have more fun times like this every single Monday at 6 p.m. Central. So make sure you tune in with us next week. That's all we got.
All right. Well, it has been great. It's been great. I'm dropping this link.
Thank y'all.
There you go.
That's what's up, y'all.
All right, guys. We'll be back next Monday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time with another great guest and another amazing episode of Create Your Future Self Live. Until then, take care. God bless. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.